Yo, what's good, Laker Nation? I need every single one of you to stop what you're doing right now. Put the phone down, turn off the music, close TikTok. I don't care what you're doing, because what I'm about to tell you just happened on First Take, and I am still processing it. I have been covering the Lakers for years, and I have never seen anything like what just went down on live television. LeBron James just went on ESPN's First Take the morning after the Thunder swept us out of the playoffs, and what came out of that man's mouth is going to send shockwaves through the entire NBA. I'm talking about the kind of interview that changes franchises, ends careers, and starts an entire offseason of chaos. If you're a Lakers fan, you need to hear every single word of this. Let's get into it. So here's the setup. It's the morning after Game 4, Thunder 115, Lakers 110. The sweep is complete. The Crypto.com arena was filled with boos as the clock hit 0. The defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 35 points and AJ Mitchell's 28, just dismantled the Lakers' entire super team experiment in 4 games. The first 2 games in OKC weren't even competitive, both 18-point blowouts. Game 3 was a 131-108 embarrassment. And Game 4, the closest game of the series, ended with LeBron missing a driving bank shot with 20 seconds left that would have given the Lakers the lead, and Austin Reeves bricking a potential tying three-pointer with 8 seconds on the clock. 8 losses in 8 games against the Thunder this season. 8, regular season and playoffs combined. That has never happened to LeBron James in his entire 23-year career. So when ESPN announced that LeBron would be appearing on First Take, everyone expected the typical LeBron answers. Measured, diplomatic, we'll figure it out. The political LeBron. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. The interview started normally enough. Stephen A. Smith welcomed LeBron on, thanked him for coming the morning after such a devastating loss. He asked about the emotions of last night, about what it felt like to potentially play his final NBA game, and LeBron gave the standard answers at first. He talked about being proud of the team for fighting in Game 4. He mentioned how the Lakers were actually up 110-109 with 40 seconds left after Marcus Smart's incredible and-one layup. He talked about the effort in the fourth quarter, how Rui Hachimura scored 9 of his 25 points in that final period, how Reeves battled with 27 points. And then Stephen A. asked the question. He said, LeBron, you're 41 years old, you're a free agent, this might have been your last game, and you got swept. Do you think this roster was good enough to compete for a championship? And that's when everything changed. LeBron's face shifted, his jaw tightened, his eyes narrowed, and for about 3 seconds, the studio went completely silent. You could feel it through the screen. Something was about to come out of this man's mouth that he'd been holding in for months, maybe years. And then LeBron looked directly into the camera and said, Stephen A. I heard what you said last night on air, and honestly, you're right. What we delivered in this series was pathetic, and I owe a real apology to every single fan who spent their hard-earned money to watch us get swept at home. That's unacceptable. If the problem is me, if it takes me walking away for this franchise to rebuild and find its identity again, then I'll walk. I've got nothing left to prove in this league, but let's have an honest conversation right now. Because not everything that happened this season is my fault. Bro, I literally had to rewind that 3 times. Stephen A.'s eyes went wide. The whole studio froze because LeBron James, the most diplomatic superstar in NBA history, the guy who always says the right thing, who always protects his teammates in public, just opened the floodgates. And he was not done. LeBron leaned forward in his chair and said, I averaged 20.9 points, 7.2 assists, and 6 rebounds this season at 41 years old in my 23rd NBA season. I played 60 games. I didn't miss a single playoff game. Not against Houston, not against Oklahoma City. I showed up every single night, and I need to ask, did everybody else do the same? He paused for a moment, and you could see the frustration building in his eyes. Then he said, we have too many names on this roster getting paid like stars who are not performing like stars. You can't collect a max level check and then disappear when the lights are brightest. I'm tired of pretending everything is okay when it's not okay. And then he went there. He started naming names. LeBron said, let me talk about Deandre Ayton, because I'm tired of tiptoeing around this. The studio went silent again. Stephen A. leaned back in his chair like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. LeBron continued, Ayton was brought here to be our anchor in the paint. The #1 overall pick. He's supposed to give us 18 and 10 every night. That's what we need from him. And what did we get in Game 4, the most important game of our season? 6 points. 6 points in an elimination game against Chet Holmgren, who dunked on us with 32.8 seconds left to take the lead and end our season. That dunk should have never happened. Not if our center is doing his job. And this isn't just Game 4. Look at the series. In Game 3, that 131-108 disaster, Ayton was invisible again. He got ejected in Game 4 against Houston in the first round. Ejected in a playoff game. That's not championship behavior. That's a man who doesn't have the mental fortitude to handle the pressure of being a Laker. Man, I almost fell off my chair. LeBron was going in, and he wasn't done. He said, I'm not saying Ayton doesn't have talent. He showed flashes against Houston in Game 1 when he had 19 points and 11 rebounds. But flashes aren't enough. We need consistency. We need a guy who shows up every game, not just when he feels like it. And the truth is, Ayton has been inconsistent his entire career. Phoenix gave up on him. Portland gave up on him. And now I'm sitting here wondering if we made a mistake bringing him here. Because you can't win a championship with a center who gives you 6 points in an elimination game. You just can't. And then LeBron shifted his attention. He looked at Stephen A. and said, and can we be honest about Marcus Smart? I love Marcus. He's a warrior. He's a defensive player of the year. He hit that clutch and one layup with 40 seconds left that gave us the lead, 110-109. That was incredible. But let's look at the full picture. He averaged 9.3 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 3 assists during the regular season. For a starting guard on a team that's supposed to be a championship contender, those numbers are not good enough. And defensively, what was he supposed to bring? Identity, toughness, a defensive culture. But we got swept. We gave up 111 points per game in this series. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did whatever he wanted against us. AJ Mitchell, a second-year guard, scored 28 points in an elimination game. 28 from a guy who wasn't even a starter until Jalen Williams got hurt. If our defensive identity player can't slow down a backup guard in the biggest game of the season, then what exactly are we paying for? Stephen A. tried to interject at this point, but LeBron held up his hand and said, no, let me finish, because this needs to be said. And then he turned his attention to the coaching and the organization. He said, I love JJ Redick. He's a great basketball mind. He said after the game that he didn't want the season to end and that he enjoyed every bit of this year. And I respect that positivity, but enjoying the year isn't enough when you're getting swept. The front office has failed to put a championship caliber roster around the stars. We brought in veterans on discount deals and expected them to compete against the most talented team in basketball. Oklahoma City outscored us by 181 points in 8 games this season. 181. That's not a coaching problem. That's not a LeBron problem. That's a roster problem, and somebody in the front office needs to answer for that. The interview went to commercial at that point, and I thought, okay, when they come back, LeBron will have calmed down. Maybe somebody talked to him during the break. Maybe someone from his team sent a text saying pull it back, because this was already the most explosive LeBron interview I've ever seen. He had just called out Ayton by name, questioned Smart's impact, and challenged the entire front office. But no, when First Take came back from commercial, LeBron was even more fired up. He was sitting there with this look in his eyes like a man who had been holding a volcano inside him for years, and finally just let it erupt. Stephen A. tried to ease back in with a lighter question about the positive moments from the season, and LeBron just shook his head. He said, positive moments. We won back-to-back Pacific Division titles. We had 50-plus wins. We beat Houston in the first round without Luka. Those are nice regular season accomplishments. But nobody remembers regular season success when you get swept in the second round. Championships are what this franchise is about. 17 banners hang in that arena, and we just got embarrassed in front of those banners. That's what I'm gonna remember, not the division titles. And then LeBron went deeper into the roster problems than I ever expected. He said, let me explain something that I think the casual fan doesn't understand. Oklahoma City didn't just beat us. They exposed every single weakness we have. Their starting lineup with SGA, Mitchell filling in for Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso, Chet Holmgren, and Isaiah Hartenstein is younger, more athletic, and deeper than anything we can put on the floor. Caruso, a guy we let walk years ago, came back in this series and hit back-to-back three-pointers in the second quarter of Game 4 that completely swung the momentum. Alex Caruso, a player this franchise had on its roster and didn't prioritize. That tells you everything about the decision-making around here. Stephen A. jumped in at that point and said, "LeBron, are you saying the front office made a mistake letting Caruso go?" And LeBron laughed. Not a happy laugh. A bitter laugh. He said, "I'm saying there's a pattern of decisions that prioritize star power over roster construction. We keep chasing big names and ignoring the foundational pieces that championship teams need. Look at Oklahoma City. They drafted well. They developed players. They built depth. They have guys like Cason Wallace coming off the bench and draining threes in crucial moments. They have Lou Dort as a defensive stopper. They have Mitchell stepping into Williams' role without missing a beat. That is how you build a championship team, not by signing a bunch of names and hoping it works out." And then he addressed the Jackson Hayes situation, which I didn't see coming at all. He said, "Hayes gave us 18 points off the bench in Game 4. That was great, but why is our most productive bench player someone who we never know if he's going to show up? This team is full of inconsistency. We need players who bring the same effort every night." In my 23 years in this league, the teams I've won championships with, the 2012 and 2013 Heat, the 2016 Cavaliers, the 2020 Lakers, they all had one thing in common: reliability. You knew what you were getting from every single player, every single night. This team doesn't have that, not even close. And then LeBron said something that felt like it was directed at everyone in the Lakers organization. He said, "We have a team where guys are more focused on their social media following than their box score, where guys are more worried about their next shoe deal than their next defensive assignment, where the culture of winning has been replaced by the culture of comfort." And I'm partly to blame for that, because maybe I should have been louder about these issues during the season instead of waiting until now. But I tried to lead by example. I played 60 games at 41 years old. I showed up every single day, and sometimes leading by example isn't enough when the people around you aren't following. Stephen A. asked him about Luka Doncic, and LeBron's voice got softer for a moment, more emotional. He said, "Look, I feel for Luka. I really do. That hamstring injury on April 2nd took everything from us. He missed the last 15 games of the regular season and the entire playoffs." And that's devastating, because when Luka and I were healthy and playing together, we were special. We had 59 assist connections last season alone. The talent was there. But here's the reality that nobody wants to say out loud. This team was built around the idea that LeBron James and Luka Doncic would carry everything. And when one of us goes down, there's nothing left. The depth isn't there. The supporting cast isn't there. We need more than just two superstars and a collection of hope. And then came the moment that truly shook me to my core. LeBron got quiet, his voice dropped, and he said something I never thought I'd hear from LeBron James. He said, "I'm 41 years old. This was my 23rd season. I'm the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. I've won 4 championships. I've got nothing left to prove. And right now, tonight, I don't know what the future holds for me. I've said it before. I'll go back and recalibrate with my family. I'll talk with them and spend time with them, but I want Laker Nation to hear me when I say this. Whatever I decide to do, whether I come back or whether I don't, I need this organization to do better. Not for me, for Luka, for the fans, for the legacy of this franchise. Because right now, this is not a championship team, and it hasn't been for 3 straight years. We haven't made the conference finals in 3 consecutive seasons. Something has to change. And maybe that change starts with me leaving." Bro, I'm still shaking from hearing those words. LeBron James, the greatest player of all time, sitting there on national television essentially saying he might walk away and that the Lakers organization has failed. He finished the interview by looking directly into the camera and saying, "To Laker Nation, I want to say thank you. From the bottom of my heart, you embraced me when I came here in 2018. You rode with me through the championship in 2020. You've supported me through the highs and the lows, and I want you to know that I gave everything I had to this franchise, every single night. But I'm not going to be quiet anymore about the problems that exist. The fans deserve better than what they saw in that series. They deserve better than getting swept. They deserve honesty, and tonight, that's what I'm giving them." But now let me give you my analysis because I've been processing this for hours and my mind is still racing. What LeBron just did on that interview is unprecedented. In 23 years, he has never publicly called out teammates by name like that. He's never questioned the front office this directly. And the fact that he did it the morning after what might be his final NBA game tells me one of two things. Either LeBron James is genuinely considering retirement and he wanted to go out speaking his truth, or he's sending a message to the Lakers front office that if he does come back, massive changes need to happen. JJ Redick said LeBron's decision will come in the next 2 months. That means we have an entire summer of uncertainty ahead of us. LeBron is an unrestricted free agent. His $59.5 million contract is done. Teams like Cleveland, Golden State, and the Clippers could all come calling. And with LeBron's son Bronny averaging just 2.9 points and 5.3 minutes per game in the playoffs, the father-son experiment hasn't exactly been the storybook ending everyone envisioned.